Yo, I hope you got some time, because we got some shit to go through tonight. I told Mike that some stuff changes minorly in the first movie, and like there's parts that I didn't mind changed. I didn't say shit about what all changes in this movie because I had 2 pages of notes for the first movie. I've got 9.
Oh boy.
Some shit happens. I've got notes on my computer. Oh my god. Every time I see it, I just forget how bonkers this movie is. It's a different anime at the end of this freaking movie. Go ahead, Mike.
Okay, so for those who saw the last review, the first movie, Childhood's End, basically compiles like the start of the anime up until the battle of the 4 generals. In this movie, this is the lights in the sky are stars. It kind of starts with a cold open, kind of concluding the battle between Simone and Lord Genome. And I think what's cool about this, but what makes this movie sort of more geared towards, hardcore fans of the anime is that unless you've seen the show, you're not getting the full battle. You're mainly just getting the conclusion.
Yeah.
So that's our cold open. And then the rest of the film focuses pretty much entirely on Gurren Lagann Z, as I affectionately call the second half of the series. And I'll start with one of the very first things that I noticed that's different about the movie than as opposed to the series. It begins with Nia's diary.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I like about the movie a little bit more than the series is how they really hone in on the relationship between Nia and Simone, because it basically bookends with Nia writing in her diary, basically talking to the no longer with us Kamina.
Yep. Conversations to a person she's never met, but knows means the world to Simone.
Exactly.
It is one of the coolest things about this entire movie. And I lied to you about some things that were going to be in this movie that I was just like, yeah, it's a shame you never get to see these people have a scene together after their whatever. That, yeah.
about that.
I was just like, one day I'm going to watch this movie and I'm going to be able to talk about it. Oh, man. But, yeah. Before we get too far away from that genome scene, there is a very key thing that they change. And I don't know why, because it's a very tiny thing. They do not mention the million apes thing. They mention apes roaming the earth, but they don't mention the million number. Because the big thing, and we'll get to it later, is that oh boy, Kino and Kial. Oh man, oldest black sister's name is it Kial?
Hold on, I got you. Keep typing.
It's every time. But anyway, when she has her kid, that is what spikes the millionth ape on Earth, and then that's what sets off the anti-spiral defense systems to take out Earth. But we got some shit to get through before that. But yeah, that was just a very minor detail, because they mention a different reason that the anti-spiral defense system attacks later in the movie, which is kind of weird in my opinion. I believe it's Kinone. Oh, I screw them up every time. Anyway, you'll get to it. But yeah, you get to see. It skips right to it skips right to the genome fight, and then you get to see really cool scenes that I wish they would have had just a little bit of in the actual anime of them setting up Kamina City. And I never understood why they never didn't have that in the anime. Because like they skip one of the coolest things ever. Like they have that communist.
It's Kyo, by the way.
Kyo, that's the one I always forget. Kyo. Keynote is the one that goes with freaking Rasiyu, and Keyall is the youngest one. Yes. But they show like the setup of the city, like the laying of the foundation, and you get to see one of the coolest things that big communist statue was literally by hand chiseled out by Simone.
I was going to point that out next. That something the movie does that the series doesn't is you get to see how the city takes shape, and it's so cool and so important that Simone is the one who erects the statue, because those two had probably one of the tightest like one of the tightest friendships in, I want to say, all of anime, or at least
You're not wrong.
At least of like the past like 2 decades.
And it's stupid. Like the amount of bro or brother in Japanese is aniki. And like you've realized that because you've heard it about 14 billion times watching these movies.
Yep.
But yeah, the aniki Gurren Lagann memes are very much a thing, and I'll never forget that word because of this. So it's just like their relationship is very tight. Like they don't talk about how sad Kamina dying is for no reason. And like you said, we get the Simone get your shit together arc, and we hate it because we hate seeing Simone sad, but not a single person that has watched that show went, I don't understand why he's sad. They weren't that close. Because I would hit you. But yeah. And you get the best part about what you said with the writing the letter is that Nia basically covers like 2 episodes of the start of the show in like 5 minutes. With one note. Like she skips over all the bureaucratic stuff. All of the stuff with the people having their kids. She even mentions Makin and Leite's little thing because obviously Simone goes searching for her. You never get to see any of that. There is a buttload of stuff that doesn't need to get shown at the start of this movie.
They even skip the Yoko episode with just a brief mention of, oh, by the way, she's a teacher now.
Exactly. That is so slick. That is one of the best, like, just comb over the area things that they do that I was just like, you know what? That was really smart, because honestly, I'm fine with how it does it in the movie because it's kind of an in media res thing. But in this, they're kind of just like, yeah, she's over there. And then when the shit happens, she goes immediately. It kind of seems like she's just there. But, and then the biggest difference, which we'll get to right away, is that, again, Kyo's baby is being born at the hospital and Nia's there. And she calls Simone to, like, make sense of the stupid she doesn't understand what love is through talking thing. And they get to have that conversation in person this time, not over the phone. And she turns, yeah, go ahead.
I just want to reiterate something I told you off air. Because of that conversation that they're having in person, I told Brock off camera, the moon is a much bigger cock blocker.
It is so much. And the worst part is I didn't know what part of the movie you were watching at that point. So it was kind of like, hold on, that could mean a couple of different things depending on whatever. But yeah, you get to see the anti-spiral's face real early in this movie, all things considered. And the weirdest, coolest part that makes only Team Gurren would do this. The partially wrecked, still standing, like, humanoid version of the Gurren is still in the middle of the city where it dropped from the first series now in this movie. Like, they didn't even fix it. It's just broke sitting there. But, yeah, he gets to turn in front of her. That's so much worse. They skip all the searching for her, all that other stuff, and like, yeah, you got to actually see them attempt to kiss. And now this is what was weird about Kyo's baby being born. Excuse me. Is that normally Kyo's baby being born is a thing that knocks the millionth thing on the ticker, and Rasu sent out that space probe in the first series just to study the moon, just like, as a precautionary thing. The anti-spiral states in this movie that they're only attacking them because they sent the probe out. What? That's what pissed you off? Not the... Like, that's the one in the movie where I'm like, his excuse for attacking them at this point is pretty piss poor considering what's happened in the meantime. You didn't notice the biggest source of spiral energy ever in history just coming out of that small 13-year-old boy, and now you're upset because the probe got too close to the moon? They're like, oh shit, they found our clubhouse. Fuck, send the missiles. What? Oh God, that's what I love. The literalness of some Japanese translations. I love it so much. And again, they're trying to skip a lot of ground here to get the movies out because, again, I told you originally that they saved all the budget for those last episodes. They didn't have a budget limit at the end of this movie, and you know that now because before we did the final episode of the regular series, I just showed you the Tengentoppa Super Galaxy Daigarin like thing. But you didn't get to see the rest of that shit. And I did that on purpose because I wanted you to see it raw compared when we actually did it. And we'll get there, but my God, everything in the kitchen sink.
Oh yeah.
Oh God, but I'm gonna try and not skip over it. I'm just gonna make sure we don't lose anything. So up until this point, what is different so far? Do you like that a bunch of that little middle stuff got skipped?
You mean the Rasu is a piece of shit arc?
Oh, don't worry. We still get a little bit of that. We're still there. But a good chunk of it, yeah.
There's a little bit of that scene coming up that I have a little bit of issue with. But we'll get to that.
Yeah.
They do kind of speed through the process of what are the Dari and
Gimme and Dari, that they actually figure out. They call them Mugan this time around, not from Liron. They call it because Gimme calls them that, and I didn't know this in the series until he mentioned it in the movie, is Mugan means no face. So that's why they call it that. I was like, But yeah, they have both of the Mugan show up right away. I'm like, okay, we're really speeding up the process here. Yeah.
But what do I like about the movie that's different from the series? I like how they're not wasting time with Simone arguing with Dari and Gimme. It's just they're rushing to save the day, and then Simone's like, I'm Simone, I'm the main character. I'm gonna help I'm gonna help the Earth.
That is true. Yeah, there is no time wasted. There is very little fat on this movie.
Like this movie is still over 2 hours. I mean, counting credits, but
yeah,
like for an animated movie that's longer than most like traditional theatrical films, they waste like zero time because they can't. Because they had to squeeze in, like this movie is so dense that they couldn't show the entire Lord Genome battle. That was like they only had time to do it as a cold open.
Yeah, and like the best part is they skipped stuff that was in the show, but added stuff that wasn't. Like the random scene with the old cast of Team Gurren in the bar, just to be there, because they skipped the talks they had before when they were in the restaurant with the old leader of Jiha Village. I'm just like, That was cool.
Actually, I like that better because I'm like, in hindsight, I'm not really a fan of the Jiha Village guy coming up just to kind of just to like take credit for what Simone and Kami have done.
Yeah,
because you know, in real life there are people like that who are like tangentially connected to, you know, someone who's more famous, and they'll like their claim to fame is like, I shook hands with like
I cut that kid's hair for 12 years.
Yeah, things like that.
Yeah, and like you said, with the Rossiu as a shitbag arc, people that are only watching this review and didn't watch our other thing are going to be confused, because some people are going to do that because, like you said, some people are only going to watch the movies. But like, there was no Nia court scene. The court scene is just done and over with in no time. He's just done, convicted, and out of there. And yeah, and then they like again, you're in episode like 21 in no time. Like, they take 20 minutes on like 4 episodes because he's already in jail like in no time, and he gets so much worse in jail. Like, he gets the shit kicked out of him a couple of times in jail, and he just never fights back. Like, it's hold on. And then when he's in jail, before we get too far into that, the scale of the Mugan invasion that comes for them when they light up the Art Gurren is a billion times more than what it was in the movie. They like couldn't see the sky with how many Mugan were there. Oh my gosh. And again, like, you're probably happy because you don't have to see again any more of the they don't sell some of the sympathetic stuff with like Rossiu as you're going through all that. Like, you don't get to see the bombing run with Kinon and Simone going out in Gurren with the bombs attached. Are you upset that that's not in there?
Good question. Because on the one hand, without that scene, Rossiu seems a little more like, without that scene, Rossiu seems a little bit more sympathetic and a little more desperate, because in the movie it seems like he's like, he just wants to save the Earth, and he feels, and this could also just be me speaking in hindsight, that he's desperate because he doesn't know what to do. So without thinking, he's like, well, shit, I gotta blame someone, and it's gotta be, you know, the leader of Communist City. Like, he's got to take responsibility. Yep. When in reality, he's like he has no idea what he's doing, and he's making a rash decision that he feels is right.
Yep. Yeah.
But in the show, because it's a series and they drag things out, it makes him seem worse that he's willing to put Kinon in danger like that.
Yeah, it's weird, yeah, because a lot, like, the context of, like, and you also don't get to see in later on conversations like Kinon, when they go looking for him, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, but when they go looking for him, like, there's no real search for him. There's a whole episode dedicated to finding him that is relegated to like a 5-minute scene. And like, you don't get to see the part where after he sentences him to death, that like he's in his office bawling his eyes out because he just sent like his childhood best friend to death. And I'm just like, I don't know if you would have had a natural way to squeeze that in there, considering everything else they wanted to do. And I'm not going to be upset. I'm not going to be like, hey, you guys didn't include this scene, and then you have all of the that happens at the end of this movie. But, well, get there in order in time because I'm trying to keep this stuff mostly in order. That's why I wrote these pages of fucking notes in order. But because a lot changes. And like you get to see like why Simone was so different with everyone with spiral energy. Like Simone is literally in jail with Viral Green Lantern ringing freaking core drills in his hand. Like he's just making them out of thin air. He's that bursting with spiral energy. And it's probably a scene that you really like because your boy gets more screen time in it.
Oh yeah.
So I will let you kind of go.
I'm not sure even where to begin. So I'll just say plainly what I like about this is the fact that like in this version of the jail moments, Viral plays he plays a little bit more of a role in giving Simone the motivation to keep going. Like I don't remember in the series this is probably original to the film of him like kind of manifesting spiral energy without his drill.
It is wholly in this film.
Okay, then yes, I like that very much.
Mm-hmm.
And something else I'll say before Yoko comes busting in is a scene like that of Simone like kind of manifesting his own spiral energy. It kind of helps to connect him to Lord Genome, mm-hmm. which is why the movies kind of leaned a little bit more into, like in the first movie showing like the prologue of like before the series began, they kind of explained briefly how Lord Genome and his spiral team were like the original defenders of the universe. Mm-hmm. And basically Simone is sort of like the next generation of that.
Oh yeah. Go ahead. Keep going.
And then Yoko busts in.
There's a moment before Yoko busts in that
right. Lest we forget, before Yoko busts in, this is when Nia comes and is like, "Hi, your planet's fucked."
Mm-hmm. And attempts to like, this is one thing that I never got in like the films. Like in the original series, I brought up to you that, and they show it later, that Nia comes at times where the anti-spirals won. There's no point, she's just taunting. This is the only time where you get to see, like, they show the anti-spiral being just outright evil, where he sends Nia to use magical anti-spiral energy to, like, murder Simone in jail, just in case they're like, you know what? We're not leaving you here. You're dying. So then fully immortal Viral just gets the shit kicked out of him while he's defending Simone. I'm just like, the first time I watched it, I'm like, okay, how different are they making this movie? Because when I watched the first one, I was like, okay, the ending battle is pretty whatever. We're only a half an hour in and they're making that drastic of changes. I was just like, okay.
I like this. I like that the movies aren't just like compilation films. Like this is why I said in the previous review that while I don't necessarily recommend skipping the series, like if you just want to see what happens, like you can watch the films independently. It's just more rewarding when if you've seen the series first.
Exactly.
Because comparing the two is fun.
It is, because you get to see what the how would I say this? What Gynek's thought was important from the show and what they wanted to do more of given time. Like I said this before. They openly admitted that they would have ran out of money making a single another episode of this. And I can tell you right now, if they would have had more money, considering what they do in this movie, there probably would have been another 3 episodes of just them once they were in space. Because if they would have got a regular version of what they show at the end of this movie, which was just like, I will do the Oprah meme at the end of this because it fits. But yeah, and as we were saying, Yoko comes to save the day, not just shooting her from a distance. She literally crashes through the damn jail in her tank. And again, brings up the line about how she's been a boring bitch and all this other stuff. And also, we forgot to mention that they say in the beginning of the movie is that one little fact, but a part of that montage, that the only person that Yoko really ever talked to is Nia, which I thought was interesting. Yeah. And get all that. And then at first, I thought they were going to change it to where Yoko is the one that gives them the anti-spiral or the core drill, which you never see them get back from Rasu at all.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
You don't.
They like abridged so much of that arc.
Yeah.
That I forgot that we don't actually get to see Rasu take the drill.
You don't get to see him take it, and you don't see him give it to Keaton to give it back to Simone. But you do get to see what I thought was great, and just that cool moment of like behind Yoko, you see the drill get tossed at him, and then you look, and everybody is there, gunmen's in tow, including Gurren, just ready to rock, going, dude, we're going to space. And by the way, they made a second space probe that we're going to ride out there. It's just like, are you kidding me? There's always and that's going to come into effect later. We had another one of them just sitting in the garage somewhere. Like we said in the first one, they just had a spare Diakizer just collecting dust in the corner of the garage, and they gave it to Yoko and sprayed it pink and put a skull on it. Why? Because we had the budget. That's why. Oh, God. But, yeah, and you skip plainly all the, like, evacuation and stuff like that, and what you didn't get to see also is, like, one thing that also is in these films that I've noticed, I'm sure you probably noticed it too, but like tangentially, because they don't blow it in your face a lot of the religious comparisons are out.
Yeah, I kind of noticed that too. They do briefly show the Arc Gurren, or yeah, they call it the Arc Gurren.
Yep.
They briefly showed like them boarding, and I did pick up a little bit of like the Noah's Ark allegory. Seeing two pairs of certain animals.
Yeah, it's just like you never hear Genome talk about how God made what on the 7th day, and then this will be our whatever. It's just like they really toned it down. They still show you this stuff for the people that know, so they're like, we still got whatever in there. Yeah, it's something else. And again, how much they speed it up to the battles. We're already out there, and they're being attacked by the Mugan out in space. We're already there. And I think this is at 45 minutes into the film, maybe.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah, and one small detail, like obviously they have the big attack, and they keep one of your and my favorite lines in it right when they start out. When they shoot out, they say that we're going to attack, and they don't talk about attacking the moon, obviously, because that changes. They talk about how they're going to take them out, and then he's just like, oh, you're giving me orders now? That was more of a suggestion. Well, then I accept. That's one of my favorite lines that they have ever, and they kept it in the movie, which made me so happy.
Now, I don't know if this is just like, because I'm 99% sure that the subtitles in the video that we watched were fan subs. Yeah. But something I noticed is how like the bang zoom dub of the series sticks pretty damn close to like the subtitles for these movies.
They do. It's insane, especially that first one. Like there's lines that like, again, if anyone watches the show on Netflix or like Hulu and you turn on the subtitles, for whatever dumb reason, no matter whenever they do this, they always give you the Japanese subtitles for if it was going to be a Japanese for the English. So you get different subtitles than what they're saying. Mm-hmm. I've never understood that in any anime ever, and it's always how it is. But
I think it's because now more so than before, like pretty much every anime now has like two separate audio tracks, but they're not really censoring the show as much as say 4Kids would back in the day.
That is very true.
So that's why the subtitles will just stay the same.
Yeah. And I've gotten that. I don't know if it's because I'm becoming an old man now. I'm 30. Woo! But like I want to say since I was 18, half the time I have subtitles on everything.
Oh no, same.
I don't know what triggered it. I believe I was watching something with my old youth pastor. Well, he still is a pastor now. He's just not my youth pastor anymore. And he's just like, yeah, because I don't catch some stuff sometimes, and it just helps. And all of a sudden I watch it, and I'm just like, I can't watch stuff without subtitles on now. It almost bugs me.
Yeah. Like I'm not sure when I started. Probably a few years ago. There's just something about subtitles that makes watching anything at home a lot easier.
Yeah, and the thing is, and we're going on a tangent about subtitles in the middle of this movie that's probably going to be over an hour long without this, but you'll see things that have good at subtitles and some that aren't, because you'll see some that actually time their subtitles with how they talk, so you don't get the full statement, and you don't get the characters about to attack, and then the subtitles there before they say it. Like some of them actually time them out, and then some of them are closed captioning where it's like air horn, car noise, and like. Then they call them subtitles. I'm like, that's technically closed captioning. That's not subtitles, but it's whatever. Anyway, they have the big fight. And another small difference that you probably didn't notice, and I did, because again, I'm a nerd and I watch this show every year for my birthday. Liron is the one that before Simone even thinks about it, calls out to combine the Art Gurren with Gurren Lagann. He's just like, Simone, you should do this. And then they get trapped, and then he sends it back, and they're like, they ram us. And then they're just like, they kind of act like he didn't know he was going to do it. There's a couple of times where stuff happens before the big moment, and then they still have the big moment. Like, we'll get there with another one, but I was kind of just like, I think part of you guys forgot that one part already happened, but it was a little different. And one thing that's different, like we mentioned in the first one, and you corrected me because I screwed up on the one, the music in here, like, actually has the lyrics this time. I don't understand that. In the first movie, outside of Happily Ever After, they didn't have lyrics. They always just played the backpedaling or, like, the backtrack. They just never played lyrics. And this, they do. Mm-hmm. I don't get that. And they play a lot more of Rap is a Man's Soul or Lever Me From Hell or again the like 19th version of that song they make for the very end of this film. They like it, in case you guys haven't noticed. They really like that rap track.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so I'm gonna be honest, you and me said we were starting this movie at the same time. When they defeat those two Mugen after they combine and they again send it through the space-time continuum, and they act like they just do nothing. I never get over it, no matter how many times I see it. They just act like they're like putting peanut butter on toast when they do this. But again, the laws of physics don't mean a damn thing in this show.
Oh, hell no.
The Cathedral Lagann, which they call it in this movie for whatever reason, not Cathedral Terra, turns into the gunman before they get into it. And this thing is huge. Like, this is Resident Evil levels of creating mass out of nowhere. Like, which I shouldn't say anything, because again...
Wait, is this the gunman that's, like, literally throwing galaxies at...
No, this is not this one. I'm talking about when they go to fight the moon the first time. Because when they start... Yeah, like, it's like 4 times the size of Earth. But it came out of the moon that is like 1/4 the size. I was like, what? And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, hold on. You know how this anime ends, especially in this movie. You shouldn't be shocked by this. But I'm just like, the end is caused by spiral energy. This one is caused by mechanical horseshit. But okay, and that's another one. I'm just going to keep asking you if you prefer these because I want to hear your honest opinion. Do you prefer that they actually had somewhat of a fight with the Cathedral Lagann, as they call it in this movie, before they go and jack into the thing?
I'm not sure if I prefer it over what we see in the series, but my general opinion is every single fight in this movie is amazing.
Yes.
Like pretty much with every fight scene, I'm thinking to myself, fuck, can every anime look this good? Like,
it's real pretty.
Because the problem with the industry, and Cameron and I talk about this all the time on Renegade Animation, like the anime industry kind of sucks because they're always on like really strict deadlines because they crank out shows pretty much weekly. But with movies, you know, it's a movie, so you can take your time, you can pour in the money, and make it look like they go through the trouble of making this look as good as it can.
And I got a stat because I've got trivia pulled up from the Gurren wiki of just like I knew all like there's just stuff that I've compiled over years of studying this, and I was fact checking certain shit to make sure what's right. There's a stat in here that I know you personally on what you just said are going to love.
Oh boy.
But anyway, yeah, you get to see the Moon Gunman, and every time I see it, I always think of the what is it called in Spaceballs when it turns into a maid?
Oh, that's not the
it's Spaceball 1, but they like turn into a giant like it looks like the Statue of Liberty, but with a vacuum cleaner to suck the air off of the planet.
Yeah.
That's what I always think of. But yeah. And they have a line in here that is not in the movie, or that is not in the series, that I absolutely love, because they kind of take the conversation between Viral and Genome, and they make it a conversation between Viral, Genome, and Simone, where they talk about how that was their weapon that they were going to use to bring it down against them, and like that's the same. And he talks about being a computer and how it's an interesting experience. But they talk about taking down the thing that was going to destroy humanity, and the Genome goes, "No, we are taking back mankind's guardian deity." And I'm just like, that is one of the most Japanese statements ever written, and I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's so good. Like, again, I will say wholeheartedly that I think the English dub of this show kicks the shit out of the Japanese dub. Not as far as like lines, because the lines are fine. I've seen them because, again, every time with the subtitles are there. But that dude that plays Genome, both versions are just great.
Yes.
Genome in here, especially with that line, is just chef kiss beautiful. And also, to go to your, again, you said the moon is an even bigger cock blocker this time. Part of me thought that you were watching the part when the freaking mech showed up. Because, like, just of how much bigger it is in comparison than usual.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, inside the series, when they kill those two Mugan, they're like, there's a core drill or there's a starting key. He's like, that's my Cathedral Terra. It's my biggest weapon. And you should go in there and take it. So then Gurren, or I should say Simone, breaks off with Viral inside of Gurren Lagann to go start the thing. Because they're like, take a Giga core drill and go start it. No, this thing is so big that they need to actually be inside of the freaking Art Gurren form of this to start it. It's that big. It's just like space and time. We don't care. We just kick something through the space-time continuum. The rules don't count anymore. We're going.
Rules? Where we're going, we don't need rules.
Exactly. Thank you, Doc. Doc Leron. That's what I'm going to call it. If anyone watches this and is good at art, if you could draw me a picture of Leron as Doc Brown,
oh my God,
make my day. Oh, what is his name? Christopher
Lloyd?
No, the guy that made the the fan art of us as the Wild Stallions and as the Green Lanterns. I want to say his first name's Christopher. He's fans with both of us on Facebook. He's from
Parson?
Person. It might be, dude. If you ever see this, make that happen. I don't know how, but dude, make it happen because you were amazing. That Nero stuff you sent me when I was doing my cosplay, you are the best dude, and we love you. But yeah, and anyway, going on. So they also change some lines when he meets Nia. They bring up the whole ring thing, but they also say the last line of despair was tricking Simone to come up and attempt to kill Nia. They don't mention that in the series as the final test of despair that he would have to try and kill Nia. And Simone even says out loud that he will do anything to save humanity, even if it means defeating Nia. We know damn well he didn't mean that.
Oh, of course.
but yeah, that was just his showing his resolve wasn't broken. But again, there's not much that changes with that. So like, and I asked you that already. So we're going to get to the scene that I'm pissed that changes, but they really changed the scene. And I kind of give them credit that they went this out of their way to change the scene. One of my favorite moments in the entire series is when you get to see Simone comment on somebody.
Okay, yeah. I had a feeling we were getting there.
Yeah, so I'm going to let you have it. We don't get to see that. We get a very different scene. So go ahead.
Okay, so in the series, like we see Rossiu go pretty much crying to his father.
Mm-hmm.
Like he goes crying home to daddy because he's he's hit his rock bottom.
Mm-hmm.
In his mind, he has failed humanity, and that he'll never live up to the Supreme Commander.
Mm-hmm.
So, like when Simone finds out, he takes is it Keenon?
Keenon, yep.
Okay, so he takes Keenon, goes down to Rossiu's old village. They find his father, who we don't see in this movie.
Nope, not at all.
nor do I think we see him in the first one either.
You get to see him for roughly 2 seconds when they pick up Rossiu, and that's it.
Right.
Yeah.
So what's different about the movie is we're not at the village. We're in like a very generic office.
Mm-hmm.
But Rossiu has a gun.
Yep.
That's a departure.
Well, no, he still had a gun in the original show. He just never got to the point of where he did then.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yes,
but
he never. Yeah, go ahead.
But a major difference is we don't see Simone doing the "let me see you grit your teeth."
Oh, it's so good, so good.
But at least Keenon gets to bitch slap him.
He does,
and Simone gets to say, "Hey, I've been in your place, man. I've seen my rock bottom, and I've had someone to knock me back into shape, and now you do too."
Mm-hmm.
So, generally speaking, I think what I like about all of the versions is that between the Kamina punch and the Simone punch, that is like that is an arc of Simone like maturing and becoming the person that he wants to be.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad that while the movie did make a big departure, it still maintains the spirit of that scene.
Yes, absolutely. And yeah, because I was just like, they didn't show any of the other stuff, so I doubt that was one thing where I was kind of like, are they really going to spend the time to show them chasing down Rossiu with everything else they skipped? And then all of a sudden they showed him in that office. I'm just like, hold on. Are they going to actually have Rossio blew his brains out? Because he got real close and Simo knocked on that door. I was like, oh my God. I was going to be like, wow. I wasn't ready for that. My heart skipped a beat the first time I watched that. Oh, man. Yeah. And then again, in no time, no skip, nothing. They're out in the arc. They're pulling the moon back. Again, just like they're putting peanut butter on toast. They just pull the moon back out. They're like, all right, that's back in its place. We could go get Nia. And then they go to where the first fake out location of where the anti-spirals are. And boy, do they amp up the just ridiculousness. Because when they get to the first time, those weird face arm things that they fight, they don't get to fight them at first. They just ride in on the anti-spiral death machine, and then they just splash it onto them, and that is what sucks them down below versus them being gradually sucked in after the first fight. And what is different here, and that I need to bring up earlier, that they kind of forget that they did already, they have they have them turn into Super Galaxy Gurren before this happens. And then they get reverted back into the Art Gurren when they're underneath. And then we'll talk about the stuff that happens while they're down there. But when they come back up, they treat it as it's the first time they've ever transformed into Super Galaxy Gurren because they put the subtitle up. I was like, you were that 10 minutes ago. Why are we having the emphasis now?
Yeah, that's a little weird. I had to do a double take for a second when I saw the second transformation.
Yeah, and it was weird, but yeah, we still get to see them again going into the drowning in space water. It's really hard to explain this show to people that have never seen it, that are just like, that sounds stupid. I'm like, no, if you saw the show, you realize the whole show is stupid and it just makes sense in their own rule set. Just once you're in there, you're locked in and it makes sense. But that whole scene is pretty much bog standard the same, outside of a couple conversations and them showing up through the teleporters and a couple of things like that. But one thing that is very different, and I think that you'll actually prefer this. I don't know, but they have Simone again inside the thing, charging up the well of the Art Gurren to make it more powerful to try and like speed out and get out of there. When his drill breaks, like it does in the show, he literally starts like eternally bleeding and like he's fucked up. Did you like, he's out cold, useless, and like he normally recovers in like 2 seconds in the anime and he's just good to go again. Did you prefer how badly that actually hurt him, that drill broke? That it was more Ava-like, dare I say?
A little bit.
Okay.
I think visually it leaves a bit more of an impact. Mm-hmm. Like I'm not sure if I would have liked to see that like in the series proper. Mm-hmm. Or maybe I don't know.
Yeah. It was just weird. Again, like it's one thing that you've shown, or like you've mentioned, they have come to show how intrinsically tied the actual spiral energy is to the person. Like him manifesting the drills, when he's pumping his spiral energy into this drill and it busts, like it actually hurts him. It's like actually showing how much the spiral energy lives within the person, and like we'll bring up again another thing that the directors talked about. But
hold on, before we go any further, have we gotten to the moment where Buta is the greatest character and powers the
now this is one thing, they do it a lot more, but he did do this partially in the show. But he gets a lot bigger moment of it, and they explain how he gets to do it. That he's absorbed the info, or like the energy from Simone for 7 years. So I was like, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, Buta
Yeah,
is
that's when I messaged you.
Buta's the best.
Yes.
Yeah, the only thing that they don't do with Buta, and I kind of understand because it was really weird when they did it in the show, is you never see Buta become that weird, like what do I want to say, anthropomorphic version of himself.
Oh, yeah. They did gloss over that.
Yeah, but we haven't gotten to that point. But yeah, they don't do that. But anyway, when they're getting crushed again, it gets the power. Normally in the show, Buta like knocks on freaking Viral's door to like open him up because he wants to pilot it from the pilot seat. Versus when he's in the show, he's actually just watching over Simone. And then it cuts to the rest of the guys wondering what they're going to do to fix it because they're like, we need to destroy the death machine. We need to get in there. You get to see them showing up through teleporters and all this other stuff, and now they're talking and all this stuff. And Keaton gets a lot bigger of a speech than he did before, and they kind of make one thing that I don't like about this movie is it makes Keaton's advance on Yoko seem a lot more random. Like throughout the movie, once she comes back, there's a couple of moments where he's like staring at her, and that's one thing I forgot to mention.
Oh,
When they meet the first time, he goes, "Yeah, don't worry, Yoko. This team isn't complete with the team Gurren if your boobs isn't the same."
when I saw that, I was like, wait, hold on, what?
He just says it out loud. She doesn't even care, and they're all like, "Yeah." Just like, what?
Although like, I gotta say, one thing I respect about Yoko, like compared to most like fan service characters, is she is so like self-aware that she doesn't get offended by like lewd compliments.
Nope.
Like she is very body positive.
Yeah, Gyoko is awesome, and if Kiona watches all of this, Kiona, a good friend of ours that runs RPC, his favorite character is Yoko, and he was very happy at this point when we're uploading it that we got to see her come back finally. And yeah, Yoko, 5 stars. She's one of my. I have a thing for redheads in animes. I'm noticing Revi from freaking Black Lagoon, her, Urza from freaking Fairy Tail, Pura.
Yeah, I was just gonna look up Urza.
Yeah, Pura from Ruby.
I gotta finish Fairy Tail, by the way.
There's a lot, so get going. It's worth it. Keaton has a lot bigger speech in this, talking about kind of like putting the nails to Gimme about why he needs to go on. He's like, we're going to do this and whatever and all this and that. But it's just like he's talking about going out in the blaze of glory like he normally does, or like he's wanted to. This is my purpose. And then he has the kiss moment with her, and he's like, I'm always just thinking about myself again. And they big up again about how Simone was pulling from the front and Keaton was pushing from the back, and then Keaton brings up about how much they were pushing him. Which, if you think Keaton's trying to sound cool, but logically you put the picture of Simone pulling Team Gurren here, and then Keaton from the back, and he's like, you guys were also pushing me back. That doesn't make sense, but he's trying to sound like Kamina, and it's fine. But yeah, you get to have basically the same bog standard moment with him launching to go, and because they need to send a missile in to kill the anti-spiral death machine, and he has the same thing, and yeah, it basically ends the same way, and then they come back up out of it, and they show the galaxy Gurren again, and they have our bodies etched in its form, and then they take everything out, and they do it one slight change, like because in the episodes you have the sad version of Lever Me from Hell playing as they're raising up. And then when they come back, it's the Rapus of Man's Soul version playing. And in this, it's the entire time, despite the fact that Keaton just bit it. He was just like, nope, we're good. We're charging off. And he just destroys the stuff. And what's weird about this one and how they change it is you actually have the Super Galaxy Gurren slice open the thing that the anti-spiral comes out of.
Oh yeah.
in that big old mass of just black, and I was kind of like, okay, that was different, but I like that. And then that is the moment that sends them into the weird alternate reality trance thing. And then you get not just the bookend of either, you get to have a second of the three of Nia talking to Kamina.
Yep.
I love every one of these. He's just like, I'm not losing hope. I know he's coming. I know I've never met you, but I just know that you would like to know that Simone's not giving up on me. I just know he isn't. He will be here. I'm just like, she is the definition of sweetness in human form. We've done damn near 30 episodes of me talking about Gurren, and I'll never get over it. I was crying. Thankfully, I had to go to the bathroom and do a couple other things so I could dry up. I was a sobbing mess. I cannot watch the end of this show without just turning into a puddle of tears. I just can't help it. But
are we ready to talk about the for the man who has everything moments?
Oh, we are. And I have an article pulled up here, which is one of the things I lied to you about. Where is that? Yeah, you get to see the same version of Simone's, and they kind of basically shrink Yoko's. But if we're gonna go through everything, Gimme, Dari, Dayaka, and Buta need dough before they see the Gurren out the window and they turn out. Zorthy, Kid, and Iraq are stock sellers right before seeing the Gurren, and they go out. And then Liron, Goebel, and Artenborough are construction workers, which is normal. Mocking Lete and Lord Genome as Lord Genome himself, facilities in a school, and they see him. Jorgen and Balenbo are fathers to many children, and they see it out the window. And then Tiken and Sibylla, which are very lower characters, are seen as lovers.
One of my favorite like little visual gags was when when the twins kind of like disappeared, the babies just go flying.
Yes, it's the best. It's awesome. It's just kind of like, that is such a great touch. And then again, Viral has pretty much the same thing about how he was hoping to have a family because, again, there's a small tick that people don't catch on to. Viral cannot have children because of him being a beastman and how his biology is set out, but that's something he always wants. But you get to see a really cool thing that upset me so much in the original show that it didn't happen, and it's something that I lied to you about point blank that you get to see in this show. That when you're having the moment that I think it was one of the only episodes that we started up the review for and I was crying was episode 25. And I was just like, it kills me. And I had to try so hard to not break. I'm like, it kills me that we never got to see like Nia talk to Kamina. And I was just like, but you get to see it, whatever. And then what I lied about is like, you never get to see a moment where you get finally head out of his ass, growing up Kitan talking with Kamina. You do in this flashback. The best part, I always, when that came up, I was like, please do the thing. Please, for the love of God, do the thing. And they do. He's like, and me.
Who are you?
Who are you? He's like, you forgot who I was. And they come and it's like, I never forget you, buddy. And they have a hug moment. I was like, yes! They finally came back on the joke.
You know what? I'll be honest. I forgot that wasn't already in the series, but watching it in the movie, it just felt like a big warm hug.
It was, because those two were his, I want to say, brother figures. Like, the person that was supporting him the most throughout all of it when he needed him originally was Kamina. And the person that was trying and working his ass off to get Simone where he needed to go, because he knew that's what Kamina would do, was Kitan. And I'm just like, man, if Kamina could have saw how much Kitan was helping his bro, he would be so happy with him. And you get to see when he says goodbye to go see them, that Kitan and Kamina are just like the proud big brothers watching their little bro go off to kick ass. Oh, give me all of it. Give me all of it. Plug it into my veins.
Even just like talking about it is kind of making me tear up.
It's so good because that's something they didn't need to do. And they did. And what's different here, and we're gonna get into it, is they show they're like, well, you're still on this is goodbye for the last time. And you're like, don't worry, you're always with me in my heart. And then he says, you guys too. And he's like, not just me. And it points to the battalion of dead people that are behind him. But in the movie, it's just Kitan and Kamina, because again, I mentioned it in the review, they killed off most of Team Gurren because they didn't have the money or budget or time to show and let them have moments. And you noticed they did not die in the movie version of this. They were alive and well.
Oh, yep.
Yep. So when they show, we'll get
wait, hold on. Before we continue, I forgot. Dari and Gimme never died in the series,
version.
right?
Nope. In the original version, they are the two piloting the Gurren Lagann out with Viral.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, the force that Viral is the head of. No, they never come close to dying. They are one of the few characters that you get to see the actual big future moments, like Yoko, Nia, Makin. No, Makin dies. Leite makes it. Like Rasu, Liran, Dayaka, all the black siblings. Like basically anybody who wasn't a pure gunman pilot outside of a select few, like Yoko and Simo, pretty much bite or make it. Everyone else bites it.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah, exactly. But before they go off, I have to say that in that one thing that they don't do in the movie, that they don't do in the show that they showed in the movie, is that they showed all these alternate realities before Simone of what could have been if he would have been a different person. And like the biggest one is him being a dad. And that gets me every time. That was when I really started tearing up after that moment. I was just like, they never show this in the show, because it's just like, because everyone got shown their alternate realities, like Yoko being married to Kitan and all this stuff. And just the thought of a sequel series with Simone's kid, like being friends with Gimme and Dari, and them being the pilots that protect, like, yeah, we talked about last time how much we would like a sequel series. That never happened, but
would have been so good.
It would have. And one thing that they add that's really minor is, and again, it's just a travel transition. It's really small, but I like it. They show like the spiral, what do they call it? The perceptual teleportation, when they show them the green energy zipping through the thing coming to Nia's ring before they get there, before she turns it and shoots it clean at the anti-spiral. That's a 2-second thing that they didn't need to put, but it was awesome. And again, it's pretty bog standard until the fight happens. But the only thing that happens different in that fight is, holy shit, does Team Gurren get their ass beat for a while?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the next big thing I was going to ask you about. Do you prefer that they actually, for a lot longer, got the shit kicked out of them?
I'll just say this as a blanket statement, having seen both finales in full, I prefer the movie.
You prefer the movie? Okay.
But if I ever go to rewatch the series, which I might make that a birthday tradition now too. Because I do want to rewatch this eventually if I ever get the time.
Yes.
Like, generally speaking, I'll prefer the English dub to the Japanese in the same way I'll prefer the English of like Dragon Ball or Yu Yu Hakusho. But the movie just the movie gives the fight more weight to it.
Mm-hmm.
And to see them actually struggling, it makes the very last part of the battle that much more satisfying.
Oh yeah, and there's some other stuff that goes along with that. Just the stats on this fucking robot. We'll get to that in a minute. I said it in the last review of what we did, but yeah, So they have the fight, and they get their asses beat, and they get like shut down basically, and then they're holding up Simone's head, and like it's a simple line, but it is my favorite line that Rossio delivers. The entire show is like, yeah, it looks bad, but it's going to take a lot more than that to finish him, because it is always followed by that just whoever mixed it, that squeal that happens before Sororio Day starts playing. And I will never in my life like a theme more than Sororio Days, because when that shit gets pumping, I could do anything. That theme, there's no anime that's come close to the freaking musical perfection that I love in this show. And I've said it before, this has platinum levels of music perfection. And people that have ever played platinum games, no one does it better. Capcom's close. Capcom's real damn close, but platinum just across the board is amazing. We get to see Tengen Toppa versions of a lot of stuff, because or I should say, one thing that they say is your will is now broken, and this is what I want to happen. He's like, my will is broken? Who told you that? And then he gets saved by, hold on, so I don't mispronounce any of these, Tengen Toppa Salvernia, Nia's own fucking gunman. Remember the moment where I was going to do the Oprah meme? You get a gunman. You get a gunman. All you get a gunman. All of you. Budget's not a problem. Go send them out. And okay, I have to see where the is where is okay, so which one is this? Hold on. I have to make sure I'm getting these. So this is a wiki. And to keep in mind, like you said, like to get to have more time, this is just a trivia. Oh, do you want me to save the trivia for some of this stuff till the end? We'll just get through this stuff and then go to it.
You can give out this piece.
Okay, so keep this in mind. Keep this in mind. Yoshinari did not do designs for either Super Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann or Super Granzen Boma before he started animating the final battle. He designed them one frame at a time as he animated the sequence.
Wow.
That was one detail that I had to get out before I forgot. And you mentioned earlier about having the time to animate this stuff. Doing it as you're drawing it in your head, I cannot even fathom the process of attempting that. But anyway, going back to our team here. Where did it go? Where did it go? Crap, I lost it. There is it. There they are. We get that one for Nia. We get the Tengen Toppa Enki Durga for Viral. We get the Yoko W tank. Ryoko Littner. We get the Tengen Toppa Twin Boken, which is just basically the thermal name, and the Kid Knuckle, the Ensaris, which is that lizard-looking thing, the Saw Zorinth, the Mo Shogun, and the Tengen Toppa Grapnel. Like, you get the team good to go. And then you even get to see, again, what looks like the old Team Dai Gurren with the Tengen Toppa Art Gurren coming in the background, even riding a wave, firing shots at it. And they have just a giant gang up moment where they're destroying him. And then just they get hit with that. I screwed that up. I screwed up the sequence of events here. That gets on beforehand. And then they have the super big bang attack where, again, like they're putting bread on toaster, like that thing's got the power of creating a galaxy. He's going to throw it at us. Like, and then you get to see a more badass moment of Genome where in the computer, like kind of in the original series, Lazengan kind of just forms out of a part in it. Genome, badass motherfucker of badass motherfuckers, is just walking bare ass naked right at the anti-spiral going, you don't scare me. And he just forms Lazengan out of pure spiral energy and takes the hit. That was the moment where I'm like, okay, that one wholesale sells me a lot more than the anime, because seeing him just walking out
it kind of looks like just he becomes like the mecha.
Exactly. And He's just not scared whatsoever. And they take that energy and then they're just like, all right, boys, it's showtime. And then he's just like, let's do the old you know what. And they're like, what are you talking about? He's like, we're going to combine. And then they stay everything. They Megazord that thing. And I've talked about it before and I mentioned it.
That they become a galaxy.
Oh boy. Its physical size can be nonetheless be estimated using available information. Estimates for its heights range from I can never fucking say this with a straight face. 348.48 billion light years to 10.45 trillion light years. Compared to the observable universe, which has a diameter of 93 billion light years, the super Tangentoppa Gurren Lagann is 3.5 to 112 times longer than the observable universe. I can never read this stat without just like, are you fucking kidding me? Comparing its foot, and they break this down. Like, it's the most scientific thing. If you look at the Gurren wiki, like, they got just insane. They're like, comparing its foot to the whatever. Hold on, let me send you the hold on, I will send you it on Facebook really quick, the exact link to it. But yeah, it's dumb. And the point of when this fight happens, that they did I skip a page? Yes, I did. No, I did not. I'm faking out. Here we go.
Is this it? The Super Tangentoppa Gurren Lagann?
Yeah, that thing. Read that first paragraph through while I'm talking to you. But they do this perspective back out shot where they back up further, like, all right, we're gonna you think this thing's big. It ain't just big, it's big. EA Sports big. Where they back off and just keep showing, and they zoom the music out as they back out to just show you, and they just to be assholes, make the infinity symbol with the 2 giga drills that they make. And the it's unnecessary. Unnecessary is the closest thing I could tell you to the size of this fight.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just and then they zoom back in and they show you, and there is a quote, I guess, at the bottom here that I was kind of irritated, I will say, when that battle's coming to the end, that they summoned this giant thing that, for everyone who's wondering, is basically, it's not a reincarnation. A lot of people try to say it is, but it isn't. It's basically just Kamina. Simone has Kamina as a stand. For those of us that know what JoJo is, that is what he is. And there's trivia that people say that what they've said that, like, kind of, I guess, puts me at ease for what other people have thought about how that final Giga Drill break works. In theory, the Super Tangentoppa Giga Drill break did not fail to break the anti-spiral Giga Drill break. It required the Super Tangentoppa Gurren Lagann to weaken the indestructibility, and it costed its own structural integrity while combining every other Giga Drill break in history to finish its only rival. And there was one thing that hold on, I gotta make sure I don't screw this guy's title up. The key animator, oh boy, I'm gonna screw up his name, Hiroyuki Imiyashi, said in an interview that Simone inherited all the spiral energy that was generated by the Super Tangentoppa Gurren Lagann, allowing him to defeat the anti-spiral. As he said during an interview, this makes sense as the spiral power is generated by the pilot and not the mech. So that's why he was able to make this giant thing out of nowhere, considering it was just him and not the mech doing the work. But yeah. And then we get to have the back to bare bones minimum, where it goes through every form of him, and then it goes into the fist fight, which I believe when we talked about this in the original finale that you said you preferred the movie version of it.
Yeah, and I stand by that.
Okay.
Now that I've seen that fight in context, I prefer the movie, not just because the animation looks like dope as hell.
Yeah.
Like you know, it kind of feels like we're watching like a manga like come to life.
Mhm.
Like the way it's all like sketchy and very like very bare bones, but in a deliberate fashion.
Mhm.
Um, I think symbolically, what I like about the fight in the movie compared to the series is it all comes down to Simone's willpower, pretty much saving the universe.
Mhm. Yeah. The only thing that I don't like, and they did it how they wanted to do it. I do really like that it ends on the line of him asking the anti-spirals to to believe in him, that he will fix the spiral nemesis when it comes. I do really like that moment. I will admit that. I just don't like it partially because the end fights the exact same way as the fight with Genome.
Oh, you mean with him like pretty much puncturing a hole in the
Exactly. He has his core drill in the first one, which is still might be the most ludicrous thing that happens in all of season 1, where he sends football stadium sized black blast through Genome just with his core drill.
I think the reason why they do that in the movie
Yeah.
is because you don't see that um you don't see that in the fight um with Genome in the film. You just kind of see like a quick summary of their battle, and then Genome's like, you think I'm bad? Just wait until
Yeah. It's
yeah,
like
just wait until the moon comes.
yeah, you just get to see the shots of all the stuff and the short transitions. It is. You don't get to see the rest of the fight, just the finish of it when he does the thing. But it's just like I don't know. That's just be nitpicking that it ends in a similar fashion, but it's fine. But yeah, and then you get to cut to one final shot that I'm pretty sure is not in the we didn't talk about something. I just realized it. Short transition back before I forget. When Nia and Simon are having the talk in front of the old humanoid part of the Gurren, they talk about how Nia would like to spend the rest of her life with Simone, and it's planting flowers among and making the rest of the world not a desert and plentiful like Communist City is. Remember that. We're going to get there quickly. But we get to see, and I'm pretty sure, if I'm remembering correctly, is not in the series, the final shot of Keaton, like in the room where Kial is like crying and the rest of them are kind of just paying their respects to him.
Yeah, I don't remember that in the series proper.
And then the only other really thing that changes, at least as far as the series goes, is again, you get to have one last moment where Nia is like, I'm gonna be marrying Simone and all that stuff, and she's just happy that they finally get to have their moment. And part of me, and it never happened, and it didn't. If this would have been an American, the American, I want to say like dub of it, she would have called him a brother-in-law. I'm pretty sure.
Oh,
I like every time I watched it, just like, man, she never calls Kami a bro. And I wanted it so bad. But yeah, it's fine. And then you get to have the really sweet moment where, like, another thing that they really focused in on in this movie is like Nia and Yoko are really close, like really close.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I don't like how in the series they seem a little bit more at odds.
Yeah.
I like how they kind of make up for that in this movie more so than the first one.
Yeah. And yeah, it's like you get to see that she gives and also while she's writing the note, you get to see that the parts of her are starting to wither away, and she literally is just like, please, just a little bit longer. and her arm, basically out of cuteness, obeys her. And then Yoko comes and she gives her diary, and it has one of the sweetest moments ever where she's just like, I want you to have this. Like, is this your diary? Why don't you want to give this to Simone? She's like, see, I've already told Simone everything I have in my heart. I want you to have this. So just,
Aw.
I'm already gonna cry when you pass away. Don't do this. And then, to my knowledge, nothing about that wedding changes.
I think I don't know what changes or what doesn't. It just feels sweeter in the movie because we had the scene earlier with them,
Yeah.
like kind of confessing their love in person.
Yeah.
Before the moon is like, yeah, I'm gonna take your bitch.
Yeah, she's gone. She's mine. And yeah, then it ends off. You get to see everything. Like, you don't get to see the extended ending where it's like, because they kind of chop off part of it to make part of it an end credit scene, and they partially make it not an end credit scene. Like, you don't get to see Gimme and Dari blasting off with Viral and stuff like that, which is fine. It's whatever. I just figured that they would have showed that. It's kind of weird to not have that in context, because then they show the part in the end credit scene, which we'll get to, which you get to see Simone helping a village get water, and all he asks in return is
flowers.
Flowers, exactly, because that's what Nia would have wanted. Sow the seeds and make your land plentiful, just like Nia would have wanted. And instead of always wearing his cordial now, he always has Nia's ring. And we're just like, man, I wish that would have been in the original series. And one of them thought it was like, we really should make an end credit scene with Simone since he does whatever. And then they show part of the end credit scene, and they really changed the words of the end credit scene. Because he's like, yeah, they're going to fight off the whatever, all these Gurren Lagans. Like, they have the moment with the kid in the drill, and all that's the same. But he's just like, do you think they're going to win? And he goes, no. He says they're off to make friends because that's where all of our spiral cousins are. And then he has all the lights in the sky. He's like, do you think I could go too? And he's like, yes, because all the lights in the sky are stars. And I was just like, that is incredibly different. Because, like, they're launching to go fight the Spiral Nemesis with Viral in tow and Gimme and Dari piloting Gurren Lagann.
But is he wrong about what he said about making friends? Because think about who ends up joining Simone at the end.
Oh, I get it. And it's what I've always said about this show that I appreciate. There's basically at heart not an antagonist of this show. Like, everyone in their mind is doing the correct thing. And I'm going to sound like a broken record, but there is never a better villain that just believes he's doing the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's everyone in the show. But yeah, it's just really good. It's just really good. But so again, I guess if there's anything that you remember point blank before I get to some little trivia here, is there anything that was cut from the movie that you would have preferred that was in it?
I think the only thing I would have preferred, like, to be in the film proper is the let me see you grit your teeth moment with Rasu, because I don't remember exactly what I said in the previous review, but I think for this one especially, the pacing is much better, because despite it being 2 hours, this is a very dense movie that they had to cram a lot of plot in the second movie, so they had no time to waste on what you would consider filler.
Yeah, like, they didn't even mention the part where they would have to live in space for a year and then come back because of what the moon would do. They don't go into any of that detail whatsoever.
Your mileage may obviously vary, but if everything that you like about the series is primarily the action and the character moments, you get that here.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, you get it in spades. Oh yeah, there's all of it, and it's yeah, you get a lot of it.
So what other trivia do you have?
All right, so to start off, it's something that I didn't mention that was very felt out of place to me when the show started, but there's a reason behind it. So when they're inside the old Super Galaxy Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann, you get to see how, for lack of better terms, excited Yoko and Nia are. And I guess while Super Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann is active, Yoko and Nia's nipples are plainly visible. Apparently, the production team realized that Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann would possibly end up being the only Gainax anime not showing female nipples plainly on screen, so they presented them as is. And I showed you the one with Yoshinori. And then again, it's like when the Super Tengen Toppa Giga Drill Break and the Anti-Spiral Giga Drill Break collide, the infinity symbol as a sideways 8 appears briefly when the anti-spiral universe collapses. Lagann Hen, which is a pun on that's another way that they name the movies. One's Lagann Hen and then one's Lagann something. I don't remember the exact fact of it, but Lagann Hen is a pun on the name of Simon's gunman and perhaps reflects on how Kamina named it. In the first kanji, the Ragen of Lagann Hen means spiral, and the second word means stone, basically meaning Lagann is a mech that was unearthed with the spiral, the appearance of the drill from head on from the stone. And I can't look at this without laughing. God! The entire battle, this is interstellar horseshit. The entire battle between Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann and Grazin Boma theoretically took more than 8 billion years due to the incredible size of the mechs and the rate that the Super Galaxy Gurren Lagann transformed.
Oh boy.
There was that from that. I don't know if I had anything verbally. One of the other things I had was just some more facts on just the ridiculous levels that the final mech is. I'm not gonna say the name anymore. It's ridiculous. STTGL's speed is practically incalculable. Due to the lack of reference frames, the moment the clash occurs, it travels approximately half the length of the Giga Drill, or 10 trillion light years in about 0.2 seconds, implying the speed to be 50 trillion light years per second. But as it only appears for a few frames, it cannot be relied upon as an accurate measure of speed.
Good Lord.
And it's just, yeah, they're just read through that thing, and it's outrageous. It's enormous. Its mass indicates that it should have enormous gravitational pull, which would suck in objects. Other than that, and it's ridiculous. They're every single, and Watch Mojo is the only one that I've seen that like actually does this accurately. There's plenty of lists of overpowered mechs from animes, and Watch Mojo is the only one that, again, I'm normally not a fan of Watch Mojo, but WhatCulture.com, much better list company. But they go into detail about just how unbelievably busted the Super Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann is. And anyone in the comments below this video, if you watch it, try and bring up something that comes even close.
I don't think anything can come close.
Because, my God, it's ridiculous. But yeah, and you get to see Yoko. No, hold on. I got hold on one here. Shoko Nakagawa, that's what her name is. Shoko Nakagawa had 2 great end credit songs at the end of both of these. The end credits in these are so simple. It's just more of Simon walking like he is in the second version of the outro scene, but just like man, she's got more work and other things, but just like it's just that girl's voice is off the charts.
Mm-hmm.
And Amelie, if you've not heard her version of it is very good. Her version of Cruel Angel's Thesis also is great, but her version, what is it? Kiss of Death from Darling in the Franxx. She sounds almost identical to the Japanese singer of that. It's crazy. Which, that's something that's in planning stages for later. Not shocking at all. We might complete the Mecha trifecta, as I've thought of calling it later on. But
I like that a lot.
The Mecha trifecta. But yeah, we got some other stuff that'll come before that because I'm not going to be that selfish dude that just gets that out. But yeah, this is the, like I messaged Mike. We recorded the other one last Saturday, and then we did this one. I was like, this is going to complete. We're tapped on Gurren here. Outside of us just watching the You Are My Star music video for Yoko Littner, which is just basically another version of Parallel Works that has a bunch of random scenes thrown in, and it has Yoko for whatever reason. I never looked up the purpose behind that music video. But yeah, we're fully tapped. Like the Gurren well is drilled.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to thank Mike for just putting up with the unbridled just explosion of fanboying for me throughout all of this.
This has certainly been a treat. Not just like doing these reviews, because honestly, I couldn't think of anyone, and I couldn't think of anyone I'd rather talk about this series with. But just introducing me to the wonderful world of Topatag and Gurren Lagann.
Yes.
I feel very enriched having seen this anime.
Yeah, it's one that, depending on who you talk about, and everyone is free to their own opinions, but it's one of the ones that pops up on some of the greatest animes of all time. And it's one of the animes that is in the top of my argument, to where it's like, never just say you don't want to watch mech anime because all you've ever seen in your life is Gundam. Because none of them are the same. Gundam's pretty similar. If you don't like politics for the most part, don't watch Gundam. But there's politics in here that are a little different. They have their own spin on everything. Mech animes are very different. Every one of them uses mostly, they sell themselves on the mech fights, but when you get some like this, or Ava, or Darling, or Gunbuster's a little bit more towards the fights, but when you get one that it's like, there's a story here that just also happens to have some cool ass fights in it, there's a lot you can learn from it. Whenever I brag to people, like, that is a custom painting. I didn't buy that online. I didn't do whatever. That is Elena Habermeyer, one of my best friends from high school, painted me that for a birthday present. That is Simone's quote about how a drill works and how it is basically using it to push forward. That's the biggest thing I tell people. It helps me with anxiety issues to no end. I don't talk about the mech fights at first, but they're awesome. I talk about the message that the show brings, which is at forefront in what people should be concentrating on when they watch something. Don't let something like part of what you saw on another show stop you from doing it. Like, I used to never want to watch foreign language films just because it was something that I thought whatever, and all of them were the same because I was a stupid, like, borderline, just ignorant idiot at the time. I've changed. And I'm not saying that you're going to like something, but whatever. Just please give something a chance. If you don't fully know what it's about, let someone try and explain it to you. That's all I ask, because this is the most different version of a mech anime outside of, again, Ava and Darling, that you can get there. There's stuff that's worth digging into if it's a little bit outside of your sandbox, because I used to not like anime, period. Or like, I would watch basically what was on Toonami, like every other white bread kid did in America. And
it's kind of a rite of passage if like if you say you don't like anime, or maybe you just haven't been introduced, you start with what's on Toonami, then you kind of graduate to, like, I don't know, Cowboy Bebop or Ava.
Yeah.
And then once you clear those hurdles, like, the sky's the limit.
The sky's the limit. And it's just like like there's then listen, like again, listen to your friends. I never watched Death Note until my roommate moved in. Death Note's awesome. There's some points where I think that L is a little bit too much, or that Light is a little bit too much on his own dick at certain points, but it's still a great show. And it's basically his. I think he might like Bleach more, but it's one of those things where it's like he loved it that much, and he always asked me. We sat down and we watched it together. I sat down with Mike and did this. I'll tell you right now, if there wasn't as many episodes as there was as Yu Yu Hakusho, we would do this for that. But oh boy, is that a little bit longer than this. Like when Kiona mentioned Bleach and we were going through ideas, I'm like, I love you, but no. 365 episodes, plus they're doing a new season. Get out of here. But just take people's suggestions. Every now and then listen to them. Mike here, I thought he was just being at first like just being like, yeah, I really like it, whatever. And then like he really enjoyed it because Mike is always honest with me. But then I saw on Twitter like a few weeks after this show where it's like, who are your top favorite 4 fictional characters? And this man to no end will tell you how Dick Grayson is the greatest thing ever created. And right after him was Simone. And I had the biggest proud father smile that I could ever have. It's just, you never know what you might like if someone suggests it to you. And that's the purpose of this show. I will tell you, we are a little bit harsher on Ava when you get to watch that. That's because we love it. And damn it, a proud dad's got to be harsh every now and then.
Mm-hmm. You'll notice our tone begins to shift when we talk about Ava, because there's a lot of baggage. But that's a topic for another day.
It is. This is the main purpose of the show, is to show people stuff that you love and expression through it. There will be some times where I will probably tell you right now, I don't know if it might be Kiona with the one that he presented and we're going to do with him. There's probably never going to be a moment where the person who is hosting it is going to gush quite as hard as I did. But yeah, it's the point of this. And every now and then I'm going to be a little bit lax on how much favorites it has to be just so we can do whatever. But that's a discussion for a different time. You're going to be getting to see that right after this. If we'll start after this, I promise you there is again, the well is tapped. We're done. And that upsets me, but it's fine. I got to see Mike of everything through Gurren. So we will see you guys when Ava starts, because we acted like we were going to do this when we ended the other show. We were pretty specific on it, but I'm glad we got to do it because, man, finding a way to have people that don't have the Blu-rays watch these movies is hard. I found usable means, don't come at me, in the comments of the YouTube compilation of the Parallel Works to get a link to have Mike watch this movie, because you can't buy them on Amazon. Basically, unless you pay like $500 to $600 to get the collector's edition, you ain't getting them. Mm-hmm. And I don't feel, I will not give any shade to anyone who doesn't want to do that, because you shouldn't need to spend that much money. But yeah, I look very much forward to that, having that start. Again, Mike was awesome to get Cameron on board, and we're getting more other people involved. So I'm quite excited to do that. And we're going to end because, my God, we were approaching an hour and 40 minutes. Mike, where can they find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at CaptainK42. You can check out all my quick thought reviews on letterboxd.com/CoachK42. Find me in all the various Facebook groups, just at my name. You can follow Renegade Pop Culture on Facebook and Twitter at Ren Pop Culture. You can check out all of our podcasts on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. And last but not least, check out renegadepopculture.com. Need to escape? So do we.
Absolutely. And me, again, if you're watching this YouTube channel, you got there already. I'm on a decent amount of the Renegade Pop Culture podcast. I pretty much become a regular on the gaming podcast, which is pretty awesome, with Tyler and Kiona and like Tony, Mauricio, and a couple other people that average on that. And yeah, it's a fun time. And then on Twitch, which I'm actually going to be streaming right after this, which that won't matter to any of you because it'll be out of sync. But yeah, we will see you guys next time. And for one last time, I love you all. Spin on, and we will see you later.
Peace.